Hmm. Emerging from the cocoon. My journey into a different vision of Christianity. Chapter 1, God. Welcome to an intensely personal book. It has taken me decades to understand the things that I'll try to say here. I know that many have figured it out in a much shorter time. I came from a non-religious home with a brilliant father and a mother who so exuded positivity that when people saw her behind her walker in her mid-90s, they began to smile. In spite of bouts with myriad illnesses, she radiated something that humans connect with, whether they see it in an infant or feel it at a symphony. I used to wonder if she was saved. This was a reference to a Christian idea that I picked up somewhere along the way, that only people who had submitted their lives to God in the proper way would get to live in heaven. This book is about my exodus from ideas like that. In a way, I was always focused on religious concepts. My parents named me Peter Daniel, one from the Old Testament of my father's Jewish heritage, the other from my mother's Catholicism. Neither practiced any vestige of faith by the time I knew them. This frustrated me. I saw other children with plaster of Paris busts of saints that they got to paint at Sunday school. I asked if I could go. Not a chance. Later I asked if I could go to Hebrew school. It's possible that this last idea was based on the faint hope that I might be able to have a bar mitzvah and get some presents. It came to a head in a bookstore when I was 8 or 9. My father said I could have anything I wanted. I said I knew exactly what I wanted, and I raced to the Bibles. I chose a black King James, and I was crestfallen when he said anything but that. I held my ground, and he gave in. I started at the beginning and read it at night for months. At some point, I relaxed and fell back into my other ritual of listening to Roy Orbison songs as I headed towards sleep. Later, I went to a Christian summer camp. They had horses. That was the draw. That's where I attended my first religious service, at a clearing in the woods near a sparkling lake. I prayed for a long time after going to that camp. I felt they were good to me there. They didn't seem to tell on me to my parents after I offended the staff by telling a dirty joke in public at the entertainment gathering on the last night. I didn't know it was dirty, and our cabin was in danger of losing the watermelon. This was the prize that signaled that one group had done things in a way that was considered the most right that week. No one laughed at our skits, and I had visions of points slipping away. It didn't seem fair. We'd been so good at getting to the morning flag raising on time and limiting our food fights in the cafeteria to times when counselors weren't looking. I took matters into my own hands and told the one about the little Protestant boy and the little Catholic girl seeing each other on the way home from church. He wanted to show her his new treehouse, but she knew she'd be in trouble if her church clothes got dirty. He realized that she was right, so they both took them off. He drew a breath and said, "Wow, I didn't know there was that much difference between Catholics and Protestants." The crowd roared. The watermelon was in reach. Then the doom of moralism reached out and squelched the moment. The camp director said firmly, "We don't tell jokes like that here." I escaped into the night and into despair. But we did win the watermelon, and my parents never mentioned the disgrace when they came to pick me up. I went back for 2 more years. Later I learned more about prayer. My brother used to drive very fast on the way to the ski hills north of Toronto. I developed a mantra: don't let us have an accident, don't let us get caught. I could say that one under my breath as regularly as my heartbeat. At university, young, confused, living in a basement apartment just off campus, I tried to figure out how the world worked. I missed chemistry tutorials because I stayed up all night reading Ayn Rand or science fiction. Once someone tried to convert me to Christian thinking in a bar on campus, but I had sharp answers for all the firm ideas. I think I impressed a listener because I remember the bartender brought me a free beer. But there was a moment. I remember walking across the campus late one night and being alone, but not alone. The sky, or something behind it, was alive and watching. Who knew? There was bigness and life and connection and thought, and somehow we were together in this solitary walk. If I had known to do it, I would have taken off my shoes. Soon after this, my closest friend came to visit, and he was different. His Baptist mother had done an end run and convinced his girlfriend, now his wife, that she should become a Christian. He followed. It looked good on him. We talked into many nights. I went to a meeting. I prayed with people at the end. The world changed. Looking back, I remember a sense of inner caution that I ignored. I received the directives that all young people got at religious meetings in those days. Meet with other Christians as often as possible. Pray every day and read the Bible, the Word of God, every day. Something not unlike the sound of a prison door slammed quietly in a portion of my brain. I was too excited by the sense that God was real and had come to me when I had asked Jesus into my life a few moments before to think about it too much. I resolved to do that later. It took about 40 years.